Okay, just a really quick video. Just finished off one of the stamp sketches I did for the scale and composition lesson that I did yesterday, talking about perspective and how to place your images, but did them all monochromatically, just in black and white. And this scene right here, all I do is I just finish it off in some gray and black ink, but it makes for a nice, effective scene. It's not colorful, I would say, but there's a certain mood to kind of a black grayscale monochromatic. This one right here I mentioned in the video. I don't know, the Memento London Fog in combination with the Marvy Black. To me it almost has like a slight hint of a cool temperature to it, but I'm not really quite sure. Maybe it's more just straight neutral, but I don't know. But anyways, just 10-minute application of ink right here to finish off the scene. I could add other colors on here. I could go green down here or whatever, Well, I guess in moonlight you really wouldn't see, so much of the, colors of the color wheel or something like that. But anyways, I just wanted to finish that off and see what it looked like. So, if you choose to watch the video, I hope you enjoy it. Okay, before I did another compositional scale and perspective video, I was looking at this scene right here and I thought, I really feel like just kind of finishing this one off kind of in a quick manner. I haven't been doing much stamping over the last few weeks. I've been doing other things for Stampscapes, including I've been trying to work on a design that stalled out a little bit right now, but I was working on kind of getting my drawing shops kind of fired up again. And I just feel like working on a scene right now. I'm just going to do this in a very kind of minimal color scheme. This is London Fog Memento. Memento inks are really nice ink to use in terms of your first base coat. They're nice and slippery, and they have several different colors, and a lot of those colors are fairly light in value, so they really work really great as a kind of a base layer. And the base layers and really light base layers are really good choices for establishing kind of your lighting schemes within a scene. First of all, because they're not so dark, so you don't have to make a really big commitment to, some form of light and shadow or your lighting scheme. And also because, these inks, like I said, they're kind of slippery, so they just apply very nicely on the surface of glossy cardstock. You can do this on matte cardstock as well, but it would probably be more of a tapping motion. If you drag too much on matte cardstock, sometimes the paper absorbs the ink quite a bit faster, and it will pull on your tip, okay? Now, I'm not pressing really hard, even if it is on glossy and it's slick, okay? But what I have is I have a very light touch to this, okay? I'm not pressing into it, it's only going to get so dark, okay? So don't try to get darker just by pressing, and that's where the tips will rip, okay? Now, I can kind of go back and forth like this now, but the paper is different. It has quite a bit of a saturation of this given hue and value ink, okay? So it's starting to get pretty slippery, so I can really just go over this. It's like putting some water down on, a piece of glass or something like that, or a piece, some oil almost. Okay, that's what it kind of feels like. So it's nice and slick. So I can do, other types of applications, but you can kind of almost do anything you want as long as you don't press too hard. So, I mean, if I wanted to do this, I certainly could. There's not too much ink in the lighter areas, but I can go around in there just as long as I'm not pressing too hard, okay? Now sometimes that's what people do when they first start doing kind of the sponging application. They're going back and forth and it's not getting any darker, so they want to press harder. And that's kind of understandable as a, as a response. They want to they think they're not getting enough of an application of that. But a light value will yield in its, fullest saturation a light color, right? So if you want to get darker, you just move up, in value. Okay, now in this case, I'm just going to go to black. Okay. I can make this as dark as I want, or I can leave it, as light as I want. I can't really retrieve white in that area now, But if I want an area on the scene to seem lighter, then I can use contrast. I can make some area a little bit darker right next to something that I want to appear lighter. Like say, for example, I want these clouds down here. By the way, I left those clouds kind of light because they're being underlit by the moon underneath them, okay? But if I want that cloud to seem a little bit lighter, then I'm going to apply a little bit of a darker value, or more black in this case, next to that cloud, and therefore that cloud kind of pops out in contrast much more. The darker you make the area next to a lighter area, the lighter that area seems. It seems one step lighter by contrast, okay? And the thing that I like to do if I'm depicting light in a scene, one of the things I like to do is I like to give the scenes kind of the feeling that light is emanating from within the card. Naturally, this is all just reflected light from my light here on my workspace, okay? But, it kind of gives that illusion of light coming from within a card when you kind of leave certain areas light and you kind of oscillate the use of darkness, to create an oscillation of light and shadow, okay? Now I have another video and where I'm talking about that specifically and how to, create this lighting scheme within your scene. But basically what I'm doing is when I'm talking about this oscillation of light and shadow, what I have here in this scene happens to be it's dark, and it's kind of light right here. Dark, light, dark, light. Let's go a little bit darker in between these clouds right here. Okay. I mean, in between the cloud and the tree, I should say. Okay, so we gone a little bit darker right here. Okay. Light rocks in the distance. Kind of left those light purposefully because, let's say that moonlight is reflecting off of those rocks in there. Darker shoreline. Lighter. Okay, so let's go back through this again. It's really easy. We have dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light. Alright? Now, you don't have to have certain areas, and that's not always how it's going to be. It just happens to be from this, scene right here. But if I left certain areas lighter and certain areas didn't become as dark, or I made certain areas darker that are light right here, it really wouldn't matter, just as long as you kind of oscillate it and kind of have this interplay of the of light and shade, And what you get is a more varied surface like that, and to me, it's a little bit more interesting, or a lot more interesting to have that than just darker on the outside and just all in the middle it's completely light. Break it up a little bit. working monochromatically is a really great exercise in kind of, you know, trying to really master the use of light and shadow and value, okay? Not that working with color is bad. I mean, you know, most of the scenes, you know, that I do involve quite a bit more color, but this is always a great exercise for me to go back to and to do something monochromatically, because it's a perfect exercise for kind of defining light within a scene. Your lighting scheme comes from values and how you use them. Alright, let's see, I think that should be about it. And kind of keep building it up a little bit. There's a lot of buildup of ink on here, so sometimes when it's still a little bit moist, I find that if I apply, or I want to, and I think I'm applying some color, sometimes, in fact, I'm removing it because, you know, the sponge tip right here is absorbing some of the ink that I just laid down, so if I want it to get a little bit darker and I want that color to build up, what I do is I just lightly tap it like that, because if I pull across it like that, I'm just kind of wiping up, you know, wet ink on the surface. Alright, just a quick monochromatic. It almost feels like it has a little bit of hue to it to me. Like it's kind of like a cool gray. Even though, when I look at this, I think that's kind of a neutral gray right here. And certainly black is black from Marvy. But I don't know, it has a little bit of temperature to me, I guess. A little bit of cooler temperature. But that being said, if I wanted to run in some beige colors or something like a, like a walnut stained distress, I mean, I could warm this up if I wanted to. But I think I'll just leave it like that. Just a kind of a quick little exercise, you know. When I do these stamp sketches, there's something to it. When I pick it up and I get something in my hand, I just really feel like finishing it off. Or I look at it and, I don't know, it really goes for all of these done yesterday. But this one, I really wanted to think of something to do with some mist in between the rows of oak trees. I've done kind of a little similar composition to that before, but not for a while. And I don't remember if I had a moon in the one I did before. I don't think I did. I think I just did some stars up in the sky. But this one should be, you know, a lot of fun with some different passages of imagery here. It could be any time of the year. Maybe do it in green or something like that, and a brown cabin, and I don't know, some kind of color for that background mountain. All kinds of possibilities in this one, you know, in the water, reflecting maybe some colors of the sky. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that quick finish on here, you know, a little quick application of tone. It's a lot of fun, just 2 colors, and that's it. So makes for, I think, you know, fairly dramatic and yet tranquil at the same time scene when you get those gray tones in there and kind of set the mood with kind of a stronger defined lighting scheme in here by adding a little bit of tone, you know, underneath it or between the 2 sources of light. I don't know. That's really the source of light, but having a reflection down there, it's almost like a mirror. It almost becomes really a second source of light. So, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the scene.